This one is a little bit different than kind of the topics we've talked about previously. Talk about a little bit about personal brand and growing that, right? Because as we kind of move into this world of, it's more about, capturing eyeballs through almost, everyone likes to do business with people they know, I should say, right? And that's kind of this is what this personal brand growth thing is. If you look like Gary Vaynerchuk or other people like that, he's grown a personal brand, and by doing so, he's able to grow an agency, right? So he started Vander Media, didn't necessarily do any sales, but all of a sudden they're worth whatever they're worth, $100 million, right? Because of his personal brand, not because of anything else other than that, right? Now, obviously, that's a pretty lofty goal to try to hit, but it's something I think that more and more of us, I'm kind of late to the game. I feel like to this, where a lot of people have already kind of done a lot of this, but we started and are working on growing, I guess, my personal brand, which feels awkward, I'll say, because I'm very much an introvert and would rather sit behind a screen or do work here quietly. But it's getting my face out there. I think yesterday I got posted on some celebrity news site, and it's me and Kim Kardashian next to each other, of course, naturally, right? Where we'd hang out. But yeah, it's just been interesting to go through the process, and um, yeah, it's almost like you have, I would say, almost like another persona, right? That you have to use and leverage to make this happen, because that's kind of how it works, right? It's not necessarily exactly who you are. It's still part of who you are, right? Because you're producing the content and doing stuff like that, and it's your story. But I'm not somebody that loves to tell the story, right? I'd rather just do the work. And I think this is all about more telling the story about who you are, the things you've done, all that stuff. Brittany, that's a lot to start off with an intro, and I might not say anything else. Um, yeah.
Well, hi everyone. Yeah, personal branding. So this is actually kind of cool because I participate in the sense that I get to help manage it for Michael. And it's been really interesting to see what a PR company will do to like put your name out there. And this, like Michael said, this is a whole new world for us. And getting people to recognize Michael Borgel associated with like the agency guy or like he runs all this stuff. It's been kind of cool to see how it all works. And I think, the goal of it is that it's a trusted name, just like your agency is a trusted name. So it's just one other facet to leverage as far as like getting leads and obviously growing. And it's been interesting to see how many ways a PR company can take the same story and like spin it. So I'm the one that actually like will proof and kind of go through all the articles and stuff. And it's very creative for sure. I think it's the funniest thing to go to like a celebrity news site and see Michael there. But I love it. And I think this is I don't know. I think that it's almost like you don't want to get so big in your ego that this is like the first thing you think of, but this definitely is. I'd recommend it for a lot of people. And if you have someone who's close to you, like Michael and I are very close, let them help manage it for you, because I can only imagine that on his own, this would be a lot to go through. And then you're almost overthinking what they're saying. You're almost staring at your photos too much. Like, I actually think the way that we have it set up, where I help manage pretty much everything that's going on behind the scenes, is helpful for him to not be so deep in the weeds and overthink how he's going to look or what's going to be posted. Because at the end of the day, the goal is to accomplish like a notoriety, so to speak, out there, where you just have a lot of different articles talking about you or your companies and things like that, which lead to other things, right? The blue check mark, other things of that nature. Those are what really help emphasize the whole personal branding, the persona. We're about to get Michael on TikTok, so I'm definitely going to be sharing those for everybody to see. But yeah, I don't know. What are your thoughts on like keeping a level head when, it's trying to create a whole celebrity, so
Well,
to
I
speak.
think exactly what you said. So having somebody else help you with it is really good. I think I think I'd get too hung up in all the details of the story, where it really doesn't matter at the end of the day, right? Like,
Yeah.
The overall story is the story, stuff like that. But
Right.
you coming in and being like, oh, hey, yeah, you can't say that. Like, that's not true or whatever, right? Like, or hey, no, you should add this there because he did this or whatever. And it's like, it's the benefit of us working together for 5 years, like you're able to correct those things. You can't obviously have somebody that's just started working for you to be able to do this, right? They have to kind of know who you are, your story, spend time together. All those car rides. We just had a 4-hour car ride together the other day, and Brittany, I was jamming out to some music. Brittany wasn't having it. We had to switch up a few months, but it's just like stuff like that you just the ins and outs of each other's personalities and stuff. So, yeah. So I think it's interesting. I never thought I'd be doing this as part of digital marketing or trying to grow our brand, but it's something we've got to try to do that, right? To try to get more visibility and all of that. So
yeah, and I'd say letting other people do their thing has been big for us. It hasn't felt like it's so much of a project. Like we have a lot of projects going on, and I think this has been the easiest one for us to actually execute because we're letting like another agency help with some things where we have like a social media guy who's going to take care of all the other stuff, and it's just making sure things get done, but it's less about controlling the process. And because it's so close to you, it is you. That's where I think it can get a little sticky if you're trying to dip your toes too much into this stuff, because it's a lot. And I think at the end of the day, the goal is just to make sure that you represent the brands, just like you would always want to. And that's where your support can come in for sure, to make sure that they're not saying anything they shouldn't, because it can get a little weird in the PR realm.
For sure.
All right,
cool.
Cool.
Well, I think that's it for now for personal branding. We're still learning about it as it goes. So, that's all I have right now. So let us know if you have any questions, any comments on personal brand. We'll definitely listen to it. We're not experts in it yet, but give us 10,000 hours and we will be. So.
We also have a very cool interview coming up. I believe it's next week with Dennis Yu. So we're going to do an agency success little episode talking about Dennis's agency and how he grew and his recommendations as you're scaling. So hopefully people will tune in for that.
Cool. All right. Cool.
Talk to you later.